Good morning, students. Today we shall discuss about infectious agents and means of spreading infectious diseases. In the early class, we have learned that there are two different reasons of a disease. Like the first one is the biological agents and the second one is the non-biological agent. In regard to that biological agent, today we shall discuss, that is the infectious agent. That means we should discuss today how and what are the different causative agents or the pathogens which causes the diseases. And the second important topic that today we will discuss, that is the means of spreading infectious diseases. That means how the diseases is spread. In these two topics, the first one, like the infectious agent, in which we shall discuss about the virus, bacteria, fungi, protozoa, worms of different types. Here may you look the virus, bacteria, fungi, protozoa, worms. These are the some biological agents due to which diseases may occur. In this biological agent, in this list of the biological agents, you have seen in the earlier topic the diversity in the living organism. You have seen a lot of living organism and their different life forms and how they will categorized under the different category, that is the classification. There are different criteria depending upon which they have been classified into the different categories. Here a group of biological agents which are responsible for different types of diseases also categorized under the different category depending upon their different characteristic features. You will know that, like when we talking about the virus is non-cellular. It is non-cellular, that means there is a characteristic features of the living organism and the non-living organism both present in the virus. How I will here explain it. If we are talking about the non-cellular, that means there is no presence of cell, that means there is a absence of cytoplasm and there is a absence of nucleus. These two important parts of a cell. And when we talking about the non-cellular body, then how their body has formed? Their body has formed with the nucleic acid. The nucleic acid is of two types here, like the DNA or RNA. That means in the body of the virus either DNA present or RNA present, not both are present. And the second important, that is the proteins. Proteins are also present. And these two characteristic features are these two important component part of a virus may cause the process of multiplication and may show multiplication. That means they can multiply, they can reproduce. But how? There is no cytoplasm, there is no nucleus. That means their life cycle dependent upon the two different phases. The first phase is that when they enter, they are always show this multiplication characteristic features when they live inside the body of the other living organisms. That means they select the pathway, they capture the pathway of the living organisms after entering the body of the living organisms, they capture the biological pathway, biological processes of the living organism and can do all these things. That means they can multiply. And that is why there are presence of, if they cannot present within the other living organism, even there are presence of the DNA or RNA, there are presence of the proteins, they cannot show any living characteristic features. And when they come out from the body of the living organism, they will show simple non-living object. That is why they are regarded, they are considered as the intermediate between the living and non-living. Here you have seen these features of the virus, some special features I have given an idea to you. You have also before this studied about the bacteria. Where you have studied this one? You have studied this one in the classification topic, in the biodiversity topic, that is the Monera, under the kingdom Monera. You have not seen there the virus, as because they are non-living and they are intermediate between living and non-living. That is why they are not included under any living kingdom like the Monera, like the Protista. But bacteria, fungi, protozoa and other worms are included in the other different types of different categories of the kingdom. So here may you see that bacteria is cellular. Bacteria is cellular. It is also microscopic. It is microscopic, and even from a simple microscope which by which we can see the bacteria, cannot see the virus, and it for the visibility of the virus there is strong electronic microscope required. That means it is very much smaller, virus is very much smaller than that of the bacteria. And you have also seen that bacteria is prokaryotic, possessing prokaryotic cellular features. That means having the cytoplasm, having the nucleus, but nucleus is not well organized. Not well organized means it lacks true nucleus. And if you are talking about it lacks, what does it mean? It lacks a true nucleus. It means the nucleus or the nuclear material is without the nuclear membrane, and only the genetic material, which is known as nucleoid, is seen here, which are embedded or which are scattered or which are present within the cytoplasm. And there is no separation between the cytoplasmic body and the nucleic body that is present in the form of in the form of nucleoid. Now, if you will look this structure and compare this structure to this, the structure of the virus, then the structure of the bacteria, and that they also possess cell wall, they are not totally dependent upon the other, they may also able to live without taking help of the host, and the fungi, which is a separate kingdom. It includes not only the microorganism, but also it includes the multicellular organism. And if we are talking about some simple characteristic features, then you well know that this is the eukaryotic, multicellular and also the unicellular organism, which lack the chlorophyll, they cannot able to photosynthesize, they can mainly dependent upon the other parasites or the other dead or decaying organic substances, and that is why from this viewpoint they are known as the saprophytes and the parasites. These two, bacteria and fungi both are also from the ecological point of view is known as the decomposers. They are the main component part of the decomposer which can destroy and which can decompose the dead bodies of the living organism, whether it is the plant or animals. And now when we are talking about the other characteristic features, when we see a lot of things here, like their cell wall is not made up of cellulose, their reserve food material is not like that of in the plant, they lack the chlorophyll. There are so many characteristic features which you have seen. The discussion is not here in that part which we have already discussed in the earlier sections. We should only discuss here, just we would like to know about this infectious agent, that how they are related with each other and how they are not related, how they are different from each other. If we are talking about the protozoa, then it is mainly it represent the primitive animals, and in this section we know about their pathogenicity characteristic features. That means they can also causes several type of diseases. Understand? Now when we look about the worms, you have seen 2 or 3 phylum regarding the worm, and from that point of view you may see that all these categorized into the different category in the classification, and there are some organism may can share the common characteristic features, and there are some features are may be common with the bacteria and fungi, may be common from the fungi and protozoa, may be common from the protozoa and worm, but as they are all different types of organism, that's why they show the different characteristic features. Why we require to know about them? As we want to know about them, as because unless until we cannot know about their different biological pathway, their life cycles, then how can we treat the diseases which caused by them? That is why it is essential, if we want to destruction, if we want to destroy the different types of microorganism, then we must know about their characteristic features. Depending upon the characteristic features, the characteristic features will decide how we will make the drugs, how we will make them different measures, how can we take the different steps for the solutions of the diseases caused by them. That is why it is essential to know about their different characteristic features. You will know that infection means when there is an entry of a pathogen or microorganism, the entry and multiplication of a pathogen in the body is known as infection, and the diseases caused by the different types of infectious agent is known as infectious diseases. Now we should look about the first, we may look here what are the different categories and how these categories related with each other and how they impact on the diseases. Like when we are talking about the virus, if we know about any disease that caused due to the virus, now if we want to treat that disease and providing the individuals the antiviral, it is okay, the antiviral will work. But instead of that, if we apply antibacterial medicines, then what will happen? There will be no any impact, there will be no any treatment, there will be no any changes in the disease and their severity. Why? As because when bacteria enter into the body, they, after entering into the body, form a cell wall. That cell wall formation provide protection to the bacteria, and due to that protection they can multiply, they can grow, they can live in the in the body of the other living organism and causes several problems. And if in an antibacterial disease like penicillin, when we used to and when we give the patient or we give the individual, then what will happen? That antibacterial medicine destroy the cell wall, and if the cell wall is destroyed by the medicine, then the security and the survival of the bacteria is under the threat, and that is why there is a no further multiplication by them, there is a no further any harm by them, and that is why we use such type of steps. And if that cell wall, if our body, the human body is not in the human body and in their cell, there is no cell wall, that is why if we can use such type of medicine that can destroy the cell wall, it cannot harm our body or our cell at all. And but in the similar case, which when we should use the drugs against the virus, it is very difficult. कहा जाता है कि वायरस के लिए जो ड्रग यूज करते हैं बहुत difficult है. Why it is so known? As because there is no any specific pathway of the virus itself, as because it requires the other living organism pathway in the body where it can live. ये जिस बॉडी में जाता है, जा सकता है या जाता है, उस बॉडी के ही जो बायोलॉजिकल मैकेनिज्म है उसका यूज़ करता है अपने लिए, और जब अपने इसका अपना कोई भी बायोलॉजिकल पाथवे नहीं है, इसलिए इसको डिस्ट्रॉय करना और इसके एंटीवायरल की तैयारी, एंटीवायरल का प्रिपरेशन एक मुश्किल, एक कठिन प्रश्न है. और ऐसा भी है कि हम ये देख रहे हैं, वी नो डैट ऑल दिस डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ and different categories of the microorganism, including the some multicellular organism also, may share some common characteristic feature with each other. But if we want specifically, then we need a specific medicines, a specific measures for the specific type of microorganism or a specific type of any organism. Understand? That is why there is a very difficult, if suppose may you think it in a very common example, like when one individual is suffering from common cold, it is caused by the virus, and instead of taking any antiviral medicines, we are taking the medicines of the antibiotic. Then what will happen? The medicines, if you have taken the antibacteria, that cannot impact, that cannot disturb, that cannot any harm to the virus. They can harm the bacteria if there is a infection, common cold, and also some infection that is caused by bacteria. At that time, the bacterial infection may be may be destroyed by that medicine, antibacteria, but that cannot, and they may reduce the severity due to the some other reasons, that means the infection is also due to the some other bacterial and the viral. In that place, if you are only taking the antibacterial medicines, that means the bacterial part of the infection may be destroyed, may be minimized, but there is no any impact on the viral part of the diseases. And that is why it is very essential to know about their characteristic features. And of course, we may say that depending upon their different characteristic features, we can decide how to take the treatment against the several types of the infectious disease. The disease, in the second part, we will learn about the means of spreading infectious disease in this part, but before that I want to give you some important notes depending upon all these facts. Few examples of the different diseases caused by different infectious group, like the bacteria, like the virus, like the protozoa. The first you may see here, bacteria, which causes the tuberculosis, typhoid, diphtheria, pneumonia, tetanus, plague, cholera, leprosy, whooping cough, etc. The second one is the important infectious agent is here, virus. It causes AIDS, chickenpox, SARS, polio, influenza, mumps, jaundice, measles, rabies, common cold, and you can also add COVID-19. And here is the protozoa, malaria, sleeping sickness, Kala-Azar, amoebic dysentery, etc. These are the some diseases which caused by these three different groups of infectious agent. And after this, you have also the two important groups of the infectious agent, like the fungi and the like the fungus and the other multicellular organism, worms. Some more examples from the two other groups of the infectious agent, like the fungi, like the worms. Here the examples of the diseases which caused by the fungi, like the ringworm, athlete's foot, and other skin infections, worms which causes filariasis, ascariasis, teniasis. So these are the some specific diseases. It is not the limitations that I have shown you, or I have given the examples of all the diseases caused by all these 5 different types of infectious agents. No, there are other diseases also. Just I have given few examples to you.